The biggest showcase of potential NBA prospects has finally arrived, as the March Madness college basketball tournament is back for the first time in 2 years because of the tournament getting cancelled last season. Because of this, it's the perfect time to post another mock draft to monitor where I believe prospects currently stand before the tournament begins, and then the next mock draft update will likely be posted after the tournament finishes. Also, as always, the order the NBA teams will be picking in this video is based entirely on the current NBA standings, so I have no say in that. Before we get started though, I wanted to thank FanDuel for sponsoring this video. Obviously, we're all sports fans here because you wouldn't be watching this video if you weren't. I can only assume we're all basketball fans here, but whether you follow the NBA, MLB, NFL, NHL, along with so many other professional sports leagues to choose from, FanDuel has you covered. There is always an option to play for any level of player on FanDuel Fantasy Sports, and how it works is quite simple. First, you choose a contest out of the hundreds that are available every day. Next, you draft your team without going over the provided salary cap. And finally, you can watch as the games play out in real time that can lead to you earning real cash. The best part is that if you're a complete beginner, there are specific contests designed to help you learn the ropes while still being able to compete for real cash while you do it. Now, especially for all of the NBA fans specifically, there is a special offer going on right now where you can receive a voucher to enter an NBA contest completely free and win up to $25,000 in prizes. If any of this interests you in any way, be sure to use my custom FanDuel sign-up link that you can find both in the description of the video and pinned in the comments section to join today and start playing. Once again, thank you to FanDuel, and with that being said, let's get into the video. Starting with the number 1 pick in the draft, the Minnesota Timberwolves select Cade Cunningham from Oklahoma State. Unless he has some sort of catastrophic, disastrous showing in March Madness, I honestly feel like it's pretty safe to say that Cunningham is the best prospect in the class and will be the prize at the top of the draft for whoever ultimately lands the number 1 pick. Right now, the Timberwolves are the worst team in the NBA, and if that continues and they get to pick here, then they might actually begin to turn that misfortune around, adding an elite all-around contributor like Cunningham is to their core of Karl Anthony Towns, D'Angelo Russell, and Malik Beasley. Next up, with the 2nd pick in the draft, the Detroit Pistons select Evan Mobley from USC. Mobley is the best big man prospect in the class by a pretty wide margin, and with the Pistons entering rebuild mode, they're going to be going after the best player available wherever they pick. Mobley is a monster defensive player with versatility reminiscent to Bam Adebayo. He protects the rim at an elite level, and offensively, he's very mobile in the pick and roll and finishes strong around the rim, along with having a budding outside jumper. Up next, with the 3rd pick in the draft, the Houston Rockets select Jalen Suggs from Gonzaga. The Rockets get to keep their pick as long as it lands in the top 4 this year, and with how they've been playing lately, currently on an 18-game losing streak, that shouldn't be too much of an issue. They already have a few nice core guys to build around, starting with Christian Wood and Kevin Porter Jr., who have looked incredibly promising this season, and Jalen Suggs would be the perfect point guard to bring in and build around alongside them. Suggs is the ultimate competitor that does whatever it takes to win, and it's been apparent all year long for his undefeated Gonzaga team. He's a confident shooter from deep, he attacks the basket hard and finishes well through contact, and he operates well as the floor general, running the offense from the point guard position, making plays for others too. Next up, with the 4th pick in the draft, the Orlando Magic select Jalen Green from G League Ignite. As expected, Green had some exciting highs, but also some frustrating lows in the G League, but ultimately, that was always to be expected from a teenager making the leap to playing against grown professional men that have all been playing at that level longer than he has, and the experience was for sure a positive one for all of the G League Ignite prospects who got a taste of basketball at the pro level as they prepare for the NBA. Green, in particular, showed off his illustrious ability to score the ball in so many different ways, but he will need to improve his perimeter shooting to fully reach his potential. Speaking of G League Ignite prospects, with the 5th pick, the Washington Wizards select Green's teammate Jonathan Kuminga. Kuminga is an incredibly intriguing prospect who has come a long way from a year ago and could definitely be picked anywhere in the top 5 of this draft. He's got an NBA-ready strong body, he's got a 7-foot-long wingspan, which is great for his 6'6" height as a wing player, and defensively, he projects as a potentially great impact player. His jumper is going to be what separates him from being a really good prospect and a great prospect, as he still has a lot of work to do because he only shot 24% from 3 in the G League, but he looked confident pulling them when given the opportunity to, so if that develops, he could be a stud. Next, with the 6th pick in the draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select Scottie Barnes from Florida State. Barnes is the perfect jack-of-all-trades prospect, and his production on both ends of the floor, combined with his incredibly high basketball IQ, make him one of the safest selections in the class. For a 6'8" forward with a 7'2" wingspan, he's a tremendous passer who seems to always make the right play. He brings the defensive versatility NBA teams love nowadays, and that positional flexibility is becoming more important than ever. He, like several others in this class, still have a lot of room to improve with his jumper, but is incredibly talented nonetheless. Up next, with the 7th pick in the draft, the Sacramento Kings select Keon Johnson from Tennessee. Johnson's been an incredibly fast riser in this class, and I could definitely see him taking a similar path to Patrick Williams from last year's draft, as Williams was a player people weren't that high on until the weeks leading up to the draft, it seemed, and then all of a sudden he was the 4th pick and is now also living up to that selection on the Bulls. Johnson's a tremendous athlete who has really settled into the season with each passing game, and his on-ball defense has been very impressive. Next up, with the 8th pick in the draft, the Toronto Raptors select James Bouknight from UConn. Bouknight had missed some time due to an injury in the middle of the season, but ever since his return, UConn have been playing great, and he's been the one leading the way for them. He's one of the best scorers in the country with a great first step, very solid balance and body control on his drives, and the ability to make shots from all 3 levels. He's got all the makings of a solid combo guard in the league, and with Lowry's contract expiring after this season, it could be a good addition for the Raptors. Next up, with the 9th pick, the New Orleans Pelicans select Moses Moody from Arkansas. In the last month, Moody has taken his game to another level and has easily cemented himself as a lottery prospect. He's been the best 3-and-D player in the class, as he's averaging nearly 20 points per game and shooting 44% from 3 on a good volume of attempts during the team's 8-game winning streak that they're on, and he's playing stellar perimeter defense, locking up opponents. He plays within the flow of the offense, he doesn't try to do too much, and he knows his role, and that's exactly the kind of player the Pelicans should look to bring in here. Next up, with the 10th pick in the draft, the Oklahoma City Thunder select Jalen Johnson from Duke. Johnson's become a very polarizing prospect after withdrawing from Duke's team early to focus on the draft, and while he didn't have a great individual season, he did still show plenty of signs of being a promising player for down the line. His defense didn't quite live up to the hype, but he does have the physical tools for teams to work with there, and his well-balanced offensive repertoire should still be intriguing for lottery teams, especially like Oklahoma City, to take a chance on. Up next, with the 11th pick, the Indiana Pacers select Corey Kispert from Gonzaga. Kispert has been the best shooter in college basketball this year, and he's also proven that he's so much more than just a shooter. He's also improved a ton creating offense off the dribble, he does well attacking overly aggressive closeouts when teams try to chase him off of the three-point line, and his finishing is now good enough to where he can make teams pay for overextending when he's spotting up from the perimeter. Next up, with the 12th pick in the draft, the Chicago Bulls select Jaden Springer from Tennessee. Springer is one of the youngest players in the draft this year with tons of two-way potential at the point guard position. For someone so young, to be such a lockdown defender already is obviously impressive, but whoever takes him will need to have patience with his offensive development. Up next with the 13th pick in the draft, the Memphis Grizzlies select Kai Jones from Texas. Kai Jones is such a tantalizing prospect at the center position, as his comfortability with the ball in his hands and confidence to create off the dribble like a wing are things NBA teams will be drooling over for a guy at his size at the center position. But simultaneously, he's got a long way to go defensively before he can fully be trusted, because he's admittedly been pretty bad on that end of the floor. This is a clear upside pick with the potential to be a complete home run. And finally, the last pick of the lottery belongs to the Golden State Warriors, and with it they select Ziaire Williams from Stanford. Williams' season of college basketball has been a wild ride, as it's been filled with distractions such as the Stanford team having to live in a hotel for 2 months and not being able to train properly in that span, Williams dealing with injuries, and overall inconsistent production on the court. The hope is that once he gets into a consistent environment where he can continually improve and develop like the Warriors would provide for him, his enormous untapped potential could be reached. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to go sign up for FanDuel if you're interested in fantasy sports using my sign up link in the description, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below who you want your favorite team to draft. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.